The year is 2023. Tears of the Kingdom had just released the much-anticipated sequel for the launch title of the Switch, Breath of the Wild. Huge deal. Everyone loves this game. Just one problem. It's on the Switch, a console that, compared to the PS5 and Xbox One, feels remarkably old. And it has been going on for quite a while. And the hardware and software limitations are really showing with age. It just feels like a formality that we are getting announcements soon. But we just kept waiting. The rest of 2023 was a snail's pace. 2024, probably one of the driest years for Nintendo since 2015, 2016. We were all just anxiously waiting the next thing. And unlike the Switch before it, we didn't know that it was coming. We just all guessed collectively. And then just one day before Nintendo Direct, they're like, okay, we're going to announce it by the end of the fiscal year. And never say anything about it for the rest of the year until a random day in January at like 9 in the morning EST. They're like, oh yeah, here's the trailer for the highly anticipated console. And we'll be talking about it more in a few months. Those few months have passed, and now we are less than a week. I think we are just over 2 weeks away from
10 days away, and by the time this might be released, it might even be out already. Depends on how fast they edit it. Hello, everybody.
Welcome to a podcast that has no name. That's RosePieVA.
We don't have a name yet. We're trying something new.
That's RosePieVA. I'm TaipeiJoey101. Together, we are this podcast. This is.
Don't have a name yet.
Yeah.
This is very improv.
It's really a shot in the dark. We're going to see how well this goes. But what this podcast is going to be primarily about is Nintendo. We're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2, everything you need to know about the console from two people who know only surface level stuff about the console. Basically, everything we've learned thus far, plus our own takes, plus some bonus stuff we'll talk about as it goes on. Rose, how are you doing, my good buddy RosePieVA?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, I'm pretty hyped for the new Switch console. It's gonna be hopefully great. New Mario Kart. It's been fucking since 11 years, I think, this point.
2013 was the last time we got a new Mario Kart. I remember watching the build up to this on inspiration to this series, Sonic Toast's Yay Super Smash Brothers series, talking about like this game pre-release.
Please notice us.
Yeah. Absolute legend, Sonic Toast.
We love their content. Go check them out. They have some really cool stuff.
I also want to say for everyone listening in, I have a upturned, one of those Ninja blender cups. That's what I'm drinking my water out of because I couldn't find any normal cups. We're getting hella hydrated today.
Hell yeah. Hydrate or dihydrate, especially in the summer months.
It actually isn't that warm up here in Michigan right now.
Yeah, it was kind of chilly for the past few days for me as well.
Yeah. But before we get things started, I want to obviously mention that we were on stream on my channel a while back, and I did get a bingo. Everyone give a round of applause for that. Thank you. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the less important thing we heard over that back in April. Switch 2, the sequel to the most successful console of the 2010s and of the 2020s. So
it is a very, when it first came out, I thought it was going to be another Wii U, honestly. I was super wrong.
Because there's a pattern, historically, I think. Because we've always had a super successful console followed by a comparative failure, or a comparative letdown. Because you had the Super Nintendo, then the N64. Actually, maybe it started with N64 to GameCube, because GameCube was a bit of a letdown compared to N64, which itself was kind of a letdown.
Not the Virtual Boy.
Well, Virtual Boy
Super Nintendo,
barely even counted.
The Virtual Boy, and then the N64.
Ooh, I guess the pattern goes. So yeah, and SNES, Virtual Boy, N64, GameCube, Wii U, and then Switch. So people were thinking that the Switch 2 might have been a letdown. However, I feel like with naming and with the actual console itself, Nintendo is playing it very safe here. They don't want to have that happen again. And I feel like they won't. I feel like they've hedged their bets. Looking at the console itself, it's very similar to the original Switch. It does have a couple main differences. It's a little bigger, for one. The Joy-Cons have a little more...
It's a fair bit bigger.
Joy-Cons have...
It's a nice-looking console, though.
It does look very nice.
Very beefy.
I like the inverted colors, where they swapped the,
Same.
Where they swapped the black and the red and blue. I like that a lot. I thought it was gold and silver was what they were going with at first, because of the way that the red was lit. That would have been a super cool scheme.
Yeah. Although I do imagine more controller colors are coming out in the future, so...
But that original trailer, there was some speculation as to what the actual gimmick was, because of course it's Nintendo, there's got to be like a twist. They've always done this pretty much since the N64. They've always had some way to differentiate themselves from the Sonys or the Microsofts of their time. But it feels like for this generation, they're kind of foregoing that. There is a gimmick here, two of them actually. First, the mouse capabilities that the Switch 2 Joy-Con has. You can drag it on a surface like a mouse. It seems all right. I just don't know how many different uses you're going to end up with that.
Yeah.
We did see what was it, 3x3 or that 3-on-3 basketball game with the wheelchairs. I forget what it was called.
The ARMS sequel.
I was gonna say legs, but I feel like that might be
Yeah.
in poor taste. The other ability, or the other new feature, is the microphone and the camera that's used for voice chat. And my goodness, we are going to get some amazing clips from that, I think.
If I'm not called slurs in Splatoon 3, then is it really online gaming?
It's not. And I feel like Nintendo keeps trying to think that they understand internet, but they miss the one crucial thing. Even with moderation, you can't censor voice chats. You can't really do that.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I can say f*** all I want. Oh, I think I actually did get censored that time. Shit.
You were, yeah.
But like, you can't really do that on a live chat, you know?
Yeah.
Unless everyone has the big red button.
And that's just kind of, I mean, with the Nintendo, it's possible, but...
It feels like they just can't grasp, they can't comprehend the internet. They're so close every single time, but they keep missing it. It's been this way since the Wii.
You know what, I think they're gonna get it at around, 2040.
Mm-hmm. Like how they just got digital games. That's something that we didn't talk about with our bullet points. The game sharing. They mentioned that in the Switch 2, or the Switch Direct before the Switch 2 one. I was confused by it at first, but like now that I've had someone who knows what they're talking about explain it to me, it makes more sense.
I think there's a lot of contention around it, and I feel like a lot of it is... It's a weird how they implement it. It's kind of weird. You if someone game shares a game with you, you have it for 15 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it leaves your console, but you don't keep the save data. I think, not keeping the save data is like, say you lend me like Pokemon or something, right?
I would.
And I play through a bit of it and like, hey, this is great. I'm loving it. Probably Legends.
And then yoink.
Yeah, and then, there's my save data.
But
I think
if you eventually...
cooler if they, it was like an extended demo of sorts, kind of like how, demos do it, or the game trials from Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if it's like on your card or whatever, and like if you get the game, it picks up where you left off.
Yeah.
But speaking of contentious points, we do have to mention the elephant in the room. The console is going to cost I believe $450, which for a console,
for the base console.
For a base console, that's not bad. That's not a bad price for the console. But the big problem everyone brings up is that Mario Kart World, which we'll talk about more about later, is launching for $80 digital and $90 physical. Yada yada yada. Let's get the pricing out of the way.
I will say for the physical and digital split, that only applies to certain territories. Yeah. That does not apply to, as far as we know, it doesn't apply to the United States, where both me and my partner are located as of now.
Yeah.
My good chum over here.
The
prices are not great. I think for at the very least in Mario Kart World, there was an interview that happened a few days ago that made me slightly warm up on the price.
Yeah.
They have been working on this game since 2017.
My goodness.
They were given no deadline, and the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe selling as well as it did allowed them that time.
It's crazy to me.
The booster pack was very much so a rush job to buy more time, and it worked. And it's a fine booster pass.
It's crazy to me because people will keep giving excuses to how many delays GTA 6 has gotten at this point. But like when Mario Kart is about to release, they're ready to pounce on it, you know? Or like or the new Elder Scrolls that like we had like a teaser back in 2018 and we've seen nothing of it since. Like not a damn thing. Also, another thing on price points, they are either up or down. They are probably going to fluctuate in the near future because of a certain thing that is going on at the current moment.
Not to mention local sales.
That's true.
And quite frankly, I think the price is... if anyone remembers the 3DS's launch, a very similar issue happened.
Yeah. It was very expensive.
And then, you know, in the first year, they dropped the price, gave a bunch of ambassador titles, all that. And, you know, it eventually sold like hotcakes, and it's one of the best-selling Nintendo handhelds. And one of the most well-received ones, one of the greatest first-party lineups that a Nintendo console could have.
It does have a great lineup, including a game that you have told me multiple times is the best Zelda game, to which I am skeptical.
Link Between Worlds is great. I highly recommend it. It is, in my eyes, a perfect Zelda game, but, you know, that's maybe for a podcast another day.
Mayhaps.
Maybe. It just does well enough.
Yeah, the tier lists are basically free podcasts, you know? But, now that we talked about price point, let's talk about something actually fun. The funny Wahoo guy in his funny car.
Yeah!
Mayrocrat.
I am really excited.
Mm-hmm.
It is, again, the first Mario Kart since, I think, 2014.
2013.
Even worse.
Very tail end of that year. Because, like, it was kind of a meme how long they dragged out Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
But, like, now that we have the context of, like, yeah, we're gonna give you no deadline, get this done when you get it done, and like, they ran with that, and seeing the different modes, I'm really excited for this game. I think it's going to be a very different Mario Kart, but it's going to be a very fun one. I love that, I love the free roam mode. That's the most interesting thing for me.
You have like a Forza mode within Mario Kart is honestly ingenious. With
pretty much, yeah.
Options, I have the feeling it's gonna feel absolutely great. I see myself losing my life for the next month or so with the game.
Yeah.
It looks incredibly fun. The price aside, the game itself looks fantastic.
Also, that mode where you go from course to course and it, like, thins out. They gave Mario Kart a battle royale, is what they did.
They did, and it looks really intriguing.
It's so cool.
I've not seen any of the direct or any like footage from like the events that's been going around. Mm-hmm. I'm trying, but like from what I've seen, I'm really liking the new tracks.
I did see the first like Mario Kart World trailer that or like direct that they did that basically was, hey, you know everything they said in the direct? Here it is, but again. That was kind of weird. I don't know why they did a second one because they didn't really reveal anything
Yeah.
that new in comparison to the other one. But hey, if you wanted like 2 new things and like 4 characters that weren't in the previous trailer. Also, that roster I should mention. What a
It's
weird
crazy.
roster.
A lot of them are costumes.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. I love the new costumes. Hey, did we see Dry Bowser in there?
I don't remember.
Mains, so I hope so. And if not, then
I feel like if they're
going to be DLC, I'm not gonna lie.
If they're getting this weird with the characters that they do show off, I'm pretty sure like most of the Mario Kart 8 roster is safe.
I hope so.
It's just interesting how many polls they did.
Yeah, it is kind of insane.
They got my guy Shy Guy in there, though.
I really love the new biker Peach design with the jacket. I like the new designs. They look really nice, and I'm excited. Cosplay fodder, perhaps?
You can eat a burger?
Burger.
I'm still not entirely clear on what the burger does, but you can eat it.
I think it gives you a boost. It's like a mushroom, but like depending on what you eat, it also changes your outfit.
Yeah, that was the part I wasn't really understanding.
It's like a mushroom mixed with like a costume change.
Awesome. But I think that really does it for MK World, unless you have anything else you can remember.
There is, if you don't know, Mario Kart DS is probably my favorite Mario Kart game. It is a fantastic game that is probably the most well-rounded game with some of the best competitive, right?
Yeah.
And all throughout the booster course, I kept seeing these courses add, Waluigi's Pinball is fine. Coconut Mall, fine, I guess.
They're classics, but like...
They're classics, not what I'm looking for. I don't think we saw a lot of it. Fucking Airship Fortress is back.
That's one I'm still surprised they never brought back after it. It was like... It seems like the most obvious.
They were saving it for this.
Ooh. Like,
we're not
wasting this on 7.
It is one of my favorite Mario Kart tracks ever, so I am definitely very excited. But I think it's an exciting game.
Speaking of big new exciting games, the way that I didn't even have this point down. I forgot to mention this on my notes, but a new Kirby Air Ride for the first time in over 20 years. Yeah. Directed by Massive Hero Soccer Guy.
I think it's the first Kirby game since Air Ride that they've directed, and it's really exciting.
The big deal. Air Ride.
This probably means that Smash players are going to have to wait a little longer. I think this is a very valid reason.
Yeah. I'm excited for a new Air Ride. Classic.
The first Air Ride is one of the best games on the GameCube. One of my favorite, like, non-traditional racing games, so it's fun. I did notice the Switch 2 is doubling down on racing.
There's a lot of racing games, yeah.
There's that Fast RMX, like the F-Zero clone.
I didn't even write that down, but yeah.
Sonic Crossroads is probably making Switch 2.
Also, one of the games that they focused on for the GameCube Online, which, by the way, GameCube Online's a thing. People aren't even talking about that, and that was something they were asking for years. Yeah. But one of the games they're focusing on is F-Zero GX.
I think they are really going hard with the racing titles, which makes me excited because I think Nintendo kind of had, it's like the Mario RPG issue where, like, Paper Mario took up so much of it that none of the other games were appearing. It was just Paper Mario. And I feel that it's the same way with Mario Kart for a while. It was just Mario Kart with, like, not much else. There's F-Zero 99, but, like, when it comes to full, like, AAA releases, not much of anything. So it's really exciting to getting more. I feel like that's like something the Switch kind of, was lacking.
But with Car coming back, also gotta shout out the Kirby Air Ride player community. Hell yeah. We have with all that going down, I was a little worried because I know competitive scenes with Nintendo games. I know when Nintendo makes a new thing there, the scene is in the crosshairs, but just hope for the best. Hope for the best. But
Let's
also,
hope for a Splatoon scene and not a Melee scene.
yeah, another game that, of
But
course, got a lot of attention. The last game, I was expecting it to be another Mario. It was like, oh yeah, sure. It had the same art style. It was like, hey, yeah, this would have fit right in an Odyssey. And then we saw the little monkey guys mining for ores, and then we saw the guy burst through, and it was none other than
Seth
world
Rogen.
the world renowned Dongly Gong.
It was Seth Rogen himself.
Yeah, in a new 3D platformer, I guess with like terrain physics, Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah. It's the first 3D DK since I think 64.
I mentioned on stream, I called it Donkey Kong 65.
And the first new DK since I think 2014 again.
Yeah, big deal. And it's not a Donkey Kong Country game; it's just a Donkey Kong game.
Yeah,
I think it's been even longer since
exciting.
that.
Yeah. What, Barrel Blast? I think.
Yeah, and if we're counting pre-country, that's since like the 90s.
Yeah.
Also, there was that really funny saga on Twitter that happened a little while back when people were posting about I forget Uncle Al posted about the new Diddy Kong render, and he forgot to type the Kong part of his name. So when people are saying like I'm so relieved, or when people were retweeting I'm so glad that Diddy's back, and they didn't see the picture, people were scared. I'll say that much.
Yeah. But I think the new DK game looks great. The fact it's coming out only like a month after the Switch is insane.
Yeah,
that is like a really big game to come out this soon. And, you know, according to the grapevine, which take this with a grain of salt, please. Apparently, there's a direct coming out within the first week or two of the Switch coming out. So
I figure it makes sense with the timeline.
Yeah,
they usually release one in June.
I can imagine there's gonna be a lot more coming up.
It gives us more content. Heyo.
Yeah. There was a bunch of Switch 1 ports or upgraded ports announced.
Yeah.
I'm most excited about Kirby.
Kirby got one. Mario Party looks really fun.
Yeah, the new Mario Party stuff looks great. Jamboree's great. I highly recommend it.
It's a fun Mario Party
game. Probably the best Mario Party since what, DS?
They're on a winning streak lately. I thought Super Mario Party was a lot better than people remember. I think it's a decent time. I've enjoyed it a lot. Superstars is probably the best like collection they ever did.
It's a lot better once you get past the controls. It's genuinely a fun time, especially with some like family or friends.
Yeah, Super Mario Party was really good. Superstars is probably the best version of this collection that they keep trying to do for the past couple ones, including Super Mario Party to an extent. And with Jamboree being a full on original one, it's like you've been on a really good streak.
Yeah, they've been doing a really good lately. Mm-hmm. Things are looking up for Mario Party, which is weird to say. You know, being alive and sentient within like the 2015, 2016 era of Nintendo.
Yeah. Ooh, another time. No, because I don't think they announced it for Switch 2. I think they only announced it for Switch 1. I was Metroid Prime 4. We're still waiting on that.
I think we do have confirmation through like the website that Metroid Prime 4 is getting a Switch 2 version.
Probably. I think it's
Pokemon we're waiting on.
Yeah, Pokemon Legend ZA, which I was super excited for. Then I wasn't very excited for, but then I was a little more excited for afterwards. I've been going back and forth.
Blade!
Yeah, I've been bouncing back and forth on this game. On one hand, it looks like a super fun Pokemon game. On the other hand, it doesn't look like Pokemon Legends. I'm kind of wondering why they chose the subtitle.
Yeah, it's a weird subtitle, but I am still fairly excited.
It feels like it should have more been Pokemon Z. We should just called it that.
Yeah.
Have a fly.
But I'm excited. It's gonna be hopefully great. I can't say much because I haven't seen much, but
they haven't showed a lot.
Yeah.
the Pokemon Presents kind of came in, or the time of Pokemon Presents kind of came and went, and they didn't really talk about it that. No, they did show a little bit, but they didn't show that much. They didn't show it much in the April thing.
They showed off like the bare minimum.
Yeah, they're really playing it close to the chest. They kind of did the same thing with Legends Legends Arceus, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. A new Pokemon game that doesn't look like ass.
See what other titles were announced? First party again, Tears of, Breath of, getting 60 frames per second ports. That's exciting. The new Kirby mode looks really sick. Forgotten Land was really good.
Yeah.
Like probably one of like top 3 Kirby games.
Won a Game Award, I believe, right?
It did. You're right. It was, and I think it's fully deserved.
It's
a great game.
Honestly, but...
Let's see what else for third party. There was
a new FromSoft IP, the Duskbloods, which is the most un-Nintendo thing I've ever seen in a direct.
Like it's only coming on Switch 2, which is really, really interesting.
Wasn't Bloodborne like PS4 exclusive for the longest time?
It was.
That's why I thought this was at first, because I personally just all FromSoft games kind of look the same to me, but like
unless it's Armored Core.
For like people who are super into FromSoft games, I feel like you gotta pop off for this, obviously.
And it's just a good exclusive, you know?
It's a killer app. Like Elden Ring was a huge success. The Souls games are obviously successes. Bloodborne is a cult classic. Even that Demon Souls remake was like a big deal for a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see. Hitman, right? Didn't that get announced?
Yeah, I don't have high expectations because Eidos is kind of in a very weird place right now. I thought they got partially bought up by Amazon. I don't know if that still ended up happening, but speaking of funny games, how about that I forget the title of it, but there was this actually there was an IO Interactive game before I talk about this, there's an IO Interactive game that they did announce, a new 007 game.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about it, but we know it's eventually happening. And speaking of games that are eventually happening, hi, Silksong. Bye, Silksong.
Yeah, they just kind of dropped it, you know, no teaser.
It was just in a montage.
Just like, hey guys, this game you've been begging for relentlessly, here you go, it's coming out eventually.
That's all you get, casuals.
On Switch 2.
The game I was thinking of, I forget. I don't remember the name of it because they literally didn't show it on stream because the trailer crashed the stream.
Yeah.
It was such a funny moment. And the stream had technical issues, for a while, because earlier there was like a huge delay in the Mario Kart trailer between the visuals and audio. I thought
it made it hard to watch.
I thought our devices were fucking up was the problem, but no.
Yeah.
It was our good friends.
I was watching it in 4K, but no, it was just that.
It was just their the servers were on fire.
But speaking of games that also are highly required, hi Deltarune.
Hi Deltarune. Oh man. Deltarune.
I have no expectations, but I'm excited.
Not only Deltarune's chapters 1 and 2, which were huge when they came out online, but a chapter 3, which people have been asking for like 3 years, and a chapter 4 launching on the same day on Switch's on Switch 2's launch. This is gonna be a moment that feeds the Tumblr streets forever.
It's definitely gonna be one of the day one pickups for me.
Yeah.
I'm super thrilled to, you know, play through more of Deltarune. It's now getting a full price at, I think, 20 bones for everything, including future content, so I think we're gonna have eventually we're gonna have a really good value of a game on our hands. I mean, granted, I already think it's, you know, the game's already longer than Undertale, and we've had 2 free chapters, so...
Mm-hmm. Speaking of...
I'm excited.
Speaking of things we're excited about, it's time for a brief segment about things that I'm not excited about. Starting this list off, we have Hogwarts Legacy, which I heard was a good game, but like at the same time, you're not gonna catch me playing it. It's like
it's one of those licensed games that you love. If you love Harry Potter, you're gonna totally be into it. But if you're just not, if you don't care for it, it's not like a Star Wars game where you can appreciate it outside of what it's based on.
Also, if you love Harry Potter in 2025, I'm so sorry for you. It is not feeding you right now.
Yeah.
There's a bit on calls off the podcast where I go by Antoine often, but it's the Antoine talks about music bit where I make analogies to music, and it'll probably pop up at the podcast at some point because it's just something I like doing.
Yeah.
But the other thing I like talking about that I go off on long tangents about that no one else in the call can relate to is sports. So I get to talk about the EA Sports thing for a second. We got announced 2 games coming to Switch, which weren't really surprises: Madden and FIFA coming to Switch. What I'm pissed about is the fact that still we lock college football, which the last game was a very good game, probably the best EA Sports game released in the last decade, as well as NHL on PlayStation and Xbox, and you don't release them anywhere else, including PC. I want to play these games. I like the NHL games. I like College Football 25. I want to play these games, but I can't because they're not on the systems I own. Damn it!
I think it's gonna give it some time. I think it's gonna happen.
The problem is College Football has often like not been on it. They both have never been released to PC. But College Football, they don't like nominating that for Game Awards and like releasing it on other stuff because it's only really a thing in America. Which is funny because as I'm looking at the releases, they're releasing a worldwide Australian Rules Football League game. I forgive you for not knowing what Australian Rules Football is. I don't either. It looks like the true blue Aussie, oi, oi, oi. Oh, Star Wars Outlaws. That's another thing I'm not excited for.
What else weren't you excited for?
Star Wars Outlaws.
I think I'm in as a Star Wars fan. I am like vaguely interested, but I think it really depends how it's gonna run. You know, if it runs decent enough on Switch, I might give it a try. But I've heard very, very mixed things on it, so I'm not sure.
Since LucasArts stopped being a thing, they just keep giving the license to do. They keep giving the license to do Star Wars games to the worst studios. They did it with EA, and then they moved it to Ubisoft, as if that was better.
I will say the EA did get good right before the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Battlefront 2 did eventually become good. Fallen Order and Survivor are fantastic games. Those I can absolutely give my recommendation of.
With this,
there's been rumblings of a Battlefront 3 being possible, so I'm excited if that ever comes to fruition. It looks exciting. But that's enough about that.
With the developer history, I'm excited for in 2027 the license to be handed off to Activision Blizzard to complete the hat trick.
But let's see, what else was announced? What am I not a fan of? Not really much I can think of.
I forgot. We were talking about like Tecmo for a while, but the Hyrule Warriors. There's a new one coming out in end of the year.
I have mixed feelings. I did not play the original Hyrule Warriors. I played Age of Calamity because I was like, oh, it's like a prequel. It's gonna be really cool, like almost like a grim dark Zelda game.
No.
And then they made it like an AU where spoiler warning, by the way, for a game that came out in like 2020, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like they right before the Calamity kills them all, they send the champions from Breath of the Wild back in time to help fight aside their ancestors. And
back in time.
It feels like a bit of a cop out. I'm not a fan. I love the gameplay. I think everything besides that small story snippet, was great.
The one,
And I don't know what else you can do with a Zelda Warriors game, you know?
the people who should be making AUs is me. Damn it.
Like, I already wasn't the biggest fan of the Tears of the Kingdom story, so, like, I don't know if I'm gonna get much out of this game, you know?
Yeah. We're gonna see what happens. Oh, so there is a ZA thing confirmed. At least it's on the.
Alright.
At least it's on the list. But one of the main things we wanted to touch on here is we wanted to compare the Switch 2 launch, since we are living it currently. The launch cycle for Switch 2 to our experiences with the Switch and the Wii U before it. I guess we'll start chronologically. Let's start with the Wii U. I was too young to remember.
I did not get it right when it came out, but I was there like from like 2014 to 17, right?
The worst time to be a Nintendo fan.
Yeah, that's when I kind of became a Nintendo fan. I would say 3DS had it pretty good for a good bit. 3DS, you know, was kind of keeping Nintendo alive.
Yeah, and
to some people it still is, but
did you guys know it's really easy to mod a 3DS?
I think Nintendo's gonna fucking kill us now.
Aw, no!
But
I dodged. Don't worry about it.
Actually, that's another point I need to bring up later. Nintendo in their weird new policies, but the Wii U launch and just the Wii U being active was kind of weird. Yeah. I wasn't there for it, but from everyone who was, it was a slow trickle, right? It was like
it was so slow.
After launch, the first game worth a damn was what, Lego City Undercover, and then a while longer till you get like Pikmin 3 and like
droughts.
A lot. It was, or not a lot is what I should be saying, because it really wasn't. It was
a lot of dead space.
A very slow trickle, and that continued. There was a few heavy hitters like
Smash, obviously.
Smash in 2014. That was like massive.
But like, you only really had one or two big ones a year, because in 2013 you had Mario Kart, and I believe 3D World was the same year. Then
you also had Xenoblade X, I believe.
Listen, I said heavy hitters.
Man, I don't like the way you treat me sometimes.
Xenoblade X was not a heavy hitter at the time.
Fair.
Xenoblade was still a very niche genre. But 2014, you had Smash 4, and kind of everything else that would have happened that year was drowned out by that. Splatoon was 2015, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Splatoon came out that year.
As someone who like, I've been around since Splatoon's literal day one, right? I played every game in DLC right when it first came out, and I have, a lot to say about Splatoon 1, but I think it's what the Wii U needed, even if it was a little too late.
Mm-hmm.
If it came out like the first year or two,
I
would think it could have been a lot different of a story.
Would have given us something to do. But like, aside from that, there wasn't really much 2015. But 2016, when we got the announcement,
Mario Maker.
Oh yeah, Mario Maker, and the day it came out, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Day after my birthday, hell yeah.
Yeah. When's your birthday?
September 10th. I got Mario Maker as a day late birthday present. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And it was
Wipes
really
brow.
fun. I still enjoy Mario Maker.
Yeah.
But for 2016 there was Star Fox
nothing.
Zero.
Fucking nothing. We knew that Nintendo NX was gonna come out, but we didn't. But they kept like not saying it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it'll come out in 2017," and we were like, "Oh god!" So we had a full year of waiting of nothing. It was horrible, and like I was a Sonic fan also.
Like we were. Oh yeah, Sonic fans.
They were also
having a rough time
because Boom was the year before, or 2014 or 2015. But they were trying Boom, and that was not going well. They had to revert back for the Olympic game that year. 2014 to 2016, as a Nintendo and Sonic fan, was the worst time for anything. Because also Archie was announced that it was going to end soon. like Sonic Boom kind of came and went. It was pretty funny the show was pretty
Sonic
funny in the
Boom
moment.
killed
But,
a lot of like toy merchandise.
The merchandise was pretty much non-existent
like,
for the time.
Stores still are hesitant to get Sonic merch because of Boom.
Hopefully the movies
I think
changed
it's lifted
that.
A lot. Yeah, the movies definitely changed that.
And the movies themselves were kind of were kind of just this pipe dream away. It was just like, and we were just like, oh, they're gonna fuck it up. They're gonna fuck it up. And then the first trailer came out and they fucked it up, but then they didn't.
And then they actually, they took criticism and it's great.
Yeah.
I think the Sonic movies are some of my favorite adaptations.
They're great, but Sonic is a story for another day. The main focus is 2015 to 2016 was horrible for Nintendo. You had all of everyone's favorite
Zelda.
games.
We were waiting for Zelda U or Breath of the Wild.
We have been waiting for Zelda U since 2012.
It was announced. It was announced like right when the Wii U came out. It was like a guys, wait, please. We promise you'll have shit to play on the Wii U eventually.
They showed a tech demo of a Zelda game, which wasn't Breath of the Wild, but everyone thought it was going to be the next Zelda game. And like we were all hyped for it, but then we're like, oh, it's just a tech demo. It's the same thing with like the tech demo for Final Fantasy VII's remake on PS3. Good lord.
Or hell, the GameCube Zelda tech demo.
Yeah, the Space World one, yeah.
The one where everyone got pissed off at Wind Waker, and then now it's like a fan favorite.
Which, by the way,
Wind Waker's coming to Switch. That's exciting.
I'm glad we're kind of past that era of like, yo, for our tech demo, we're going to lie to you.
Like, I get why they did it with Final Fantasy. It's something people know and can compare to, but it does set false precedences, which is unfortunate. We did eventually get the remake, and it's as good as everyone says.
It's so weird, though, right? It's so weird to think about that, because like that was a rumor for a long time that never happened, but now like it's just a thing.
Yeah, we're like knee deep. Third one coming out eventually. It's
like finding out
surreal. And even after they announced the actual remake, it took them fucking ages to actually release it. It took a while.
It's like finding out L was real all along.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of L is real, another good idea to put on the back burner. I think next month marks the 1-year anniversary from when I first saw the Mario 64 iceberg. That's a classic video that we gotta do.
Yeah, we can do our own iceberg. Yeah,
that's such a good Mario 64 iceberg by Mish Cause. Fantastic video, such a good video. I made a whole ass album based on it.
It's great. If y'all want to see that, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
We are open to suggestions. But let's see, the Wii U kind of just it fizzled out and died. There was like a new Paper Mario.
It was all promises of stuff that we'll get eventually, and we never did.
Yeah. I think Splatoon was one of the last big titles that was successful.
And that coming out more than a year before the console being over, that was a bad sign. Nintendo was ready to move on. I think pretty much after Smash 4 came out. They were because Smash 4's announcements also ended in 2015.
Yeah, it did.
With the DLC. Which, there was a lot of hype at the beginning of the DLC. I don't remember there being much hype by the end. It didn't help that one of the DLC characters was Corrin.
Yeah. You know what? At least it could have been... It could have been someone worse.
Theoretically,
Actually,
but...
No, it couldn't have.
I think Corrin is the worst.
Sucks.
Corrin is the worst newcomer we've ever had for Smash, I think. But again, Smash, thing for another day. 2017 rolls around, or October 2016 rather, rolls around, and we finally get our look at the new console, which we've been calling NX for months at this point. The Nintendo Switch. And you see it for the first time, and you're like, oh my goodness. It's something you've never seen before. The way, like, you're playing it on the handheld, but then you put it in the TV, and it pops on the TV.
It was completely new. There was not much like it besides, like, I remember the Leapfrog handhelds could do something similar. The PSP could, but it was never like it was only like a side feature. It wasn't like the main thing.
Yeah.
Where like with Switch, it is built to be a home console that you
it's
can
in
take
the
on
name,
go, and it's when it was first announced, I thought the name was stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it just kind of the Nintendo Switch.
It's snappy.
It might be the best.
It's in Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso. See?
Exactly
I talk about music.
Switches. It switches.
Yeah.
from like handheld to console, and that's just really good.
It's a Switch, like
it's
me.
a cool gimmick, and it's nice, but that build up. I remember there was a lot of like NX leaks.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm guessing that there would have been like
there's the
a
circle, the
handheld
oval
terminal
one.
and like almost like a Wii U, but you can take the tablet wherever.
So the Wii U.
Yeah, pretty much. A Wii
My
U,
God,
but
a
with a
different
tablet
timeline.
that
we do.
isn't just a controller, which would have been interesting.
Yeah.
We can't say for certain whether that was the intention. I don't think any leaks have come across where it was like, oh, this is what it was going to be. I know that there's that one patent with like the controller that was like the oval screen with the two sticks, and
Which
now
like
it's supposed to be the console.
Which I don't know.
It wasn't. That looks awful.
Yeah, it looks horrible. Which I don't know how many people have ever mentioned it, but like there are no buttons. The buttons were just on the supposed to be on the touchscreen, which something that was also supposed to be on the little circle guy.
Which would have been really cluttered.
Oh, it would have been so cluttered.
There was a lot of patents that Switch had that were just never happened. Like they were gonna have like a proper VR that wasn't Labo. That's something they had patented.
It's like that old Nintendo on image you saw circled around all the time.
And
the Wii phone.
Joy-Cons. Oh yeah, the Wii phone.
But the bodies hit that. A class. That video. I think that video is like over 15 years old at this point, but it's a classic if you haven't seen it already.
I think so.
It's just like these old leaks of like the PlayStation 4, the Xbox 720.
You know, the PlayStation 4, fucking, what were they thinking, bozos?
We're like...
they would never.
If you remember that old Sony commercial with like the PlayStation 9, which was advertising the PlayStation 2, it's so weird. We're almost there. Because we're on PS5. I think
we're already talking about the PS6.
That's crazy. I feel like we're gonna get to PS9 by 2050.
Yeah.
Which is...
We will be alive to see it.
It's fucking... It fucks with my brain that we're closer to 2050 than 2000.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. And I'm someone who was born in 2004, so...
Yeah.
Dear God. I got a high school diploma, and I can drink the alcohol. I'm a washed up burnout of 21. I used to be something when I was 17. You know, I made that one Salmonella clip that has 500,000 views.
I made the Weed Brownie video, and then everything went down the hill from there.
I made the 2K universe. Damn it, I used to be something.
We made Project Impact. We used to be something.
Ooh, we gotta explain that to people on a different episode. We're just finding out. We're finding out our schedule as we go along through this episode.
Yeah, if this seems a little unstructured, it's because it is. It's very new. We're all trying it out, and we might have guests. We don't know.
Yeah,
it's you know we're trying new shit here.
It's fun.
Might get some guest stars on here.
Some goose and gas. To move back to the eventual thing, or the eventual launch of Switch, it happens. When the Switch video came out, I think something that kind of got forgotten was not only did we get that Zelda game, we also got a glimpse at a new Mario. Which there hadn't been a new 3D Mario since 3D World, and like for most people, 3D World was not the kind. This was still when people were not big fans of 3D World. They would come around to it in the coming years, but like people still commonly ranked that among like the worst 3D Marios of the time.
And Odyssey was great to a lot of people.
Odyssey was like a big change of pace, more towards what people were looking for with 3D Mario. I know you're not as big a fan of it as a lot of people are, but like
I have my issues with it, but I can still respect it for what it does, you know?
Still, having that big game and the big game you've been waiting for years in your trailer, as well as Mario Kart was also there, and I think Skyrim was in there?
Splatoon.
Splatoon
was there, yeah.
Also,
Splatoon 2 was when I was popping off about.
Also, I kind of miss it when they had the big, like, stage reveal. I miss when Nintendo would do these, like, the live, thing. Not necessarily the directs, but more so like an actual physical venue sort of thing. It kind of went away with Reggie Fils-Aimé stepping down, which I'm so sad. It makes me so sad that Reggie is no longer with the company, but I'm glad he's enjoying his other jobs in retirement.
Isn't he doing Spin Master now?
I think he's full on retired.
Good on him. You know,
On him.
guy deserves it. He
was a success.
He's been down here for a while, so like I don't blame him.
He's a veteran, and like he's just such a fun presence. He's such a warm.
He's charismatic.
He's like if Neil deGrasse Tyson wasn't kind of abrasive sometimes.
Yeah.
He's still just like positive all the time. It's great. And like he always, every once in a while, he'd always just like deliver these like nuggets of information that like, or nuggets of like truth that like everyone repeats. Like if it's not fun, why bother? That's kind of become like a slogan for Nintendo fans at this point. It's our mantra.
That is one of Nintendo's like mantras. It's what they're known for. Well, one of the things they're known for. That and DMCA's.
Yeah, and taking down fan games. I'm seeing what you're doing with Pal World, you dicks.
Pokemon. What was it? There's a Pokemon Emerald remake demo out.
Was it Gamma Emerald? I think it was Gamma Emerald.
Gamma Emerald. Play Gamma Emerald demo. Yeah. It's great.
Grab it while you can.
That's my plug for the day.
Be forewarned. The encounter rate's kind of fucked.
This video might age very badly.
Yeah.
But
save for later.
But I miss Reggie. The Switch. I remember there was a lot of places they'd play like the Breath of the Wild theme live with like an orchestra, and that was like on a lot of talk shows and shit. That was super hype, coming in, because I was still a kid at the time, seeing, watching TV with my parents and seeing them just, gush about the Switch and, Breath of the Wild. It made me super hyped. It's, it's just even the small things like that help with the hype for a console,
Yeah.
And I think it hasn't been... The Switch 2 hype is still there, very much so, don't get me wrong.
It echoes a lot of the same things between Wii U and Switch, but, like, it feels like something is missing. Yeah, we had the long wait where we knew the console was coming, but we didn't know anything about it. We had the little mini video that, like, showed off some of the features. We had the big like presentation where like everything was talked about in detail, and we found out more games that were coming out at launch. But like it just feels like a certain energy is missing. It's like Nintendo was not very successful during the Wii U era, but like they had so much personality. This is where the Direct started, was in this era. It doesn't
feel like a rebirth.
Yeah. Like
the
like Switch
with the Switch.
You went with that from that light blue to that hard red.
So it was a return. But, like, now with the Switch is, probably their most popular console, the best-selling.
It is their best-selling console. Right? It passed the DS lately.
Yeah.
And, like...
It's synonymous with gaming now.
If you
think of video games, you probably think of the Switch.
Mm-hmm. In the same way you thought of the Wii 15 years ago, or the PlayStation 2 about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But, like, now, I feel like coming up soon... PlayStation 2. Now, coming up soon, I think if they keep the trajectory up, the Switch should pass the PS2 in 2026.
Yeah.
Which, unless they pull like an Avatar and like re-release it, which I don't think Sony's gonna do. I mean, it's Sony, you never know. But if you're re-releasing shit like that,
I mean, they did Concord, so who knows? Who
knows? If you're doing that sort of shit, hey Sony, by the way. Can we get a new Sly Cooper, please? It's been over 12 years.
Please, new Sly. Please.
Sucker Punch! I like the Ghost of Tsushima games as much as the next guy, but talk to your son!
But, like, I'm excited for the Switch, too.
Yeah.
I think, though, it's more the prospect of, like, more power, new games. I think, for me, it's less so at being, like, having a new game... new console with a new format and gimmick. It's more just it's a better Switch, with more games, hopefully better games.
It's more like the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo, I think.
Yeah, which fun fact, the Super Nintendo is my favorite console of all time, so
or DS to 3DS. where it's not a
Yeah,
giant shift, but like you can feel an ethos.
it feels like just like a massive improvement more than like something entirely new.
There's just a part of me also that kind of wishes the branding was at least a little different. It feels like it's just kind of the Switch, but with a 2 next to it. The logo is the
Yeah.
same, the color's still the same. Like, we inverted the system, but like, I feel like you could have inverted the logo as well to give it like a new like a new look.
You know what they could have done? You could have the two Joy-Cons be like the Roman numeral 2.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
But
Or
I
even
think
just
I think
or even just changing the spines and like the logo to black and having like
yeah.
the Joy Cons as like blue and red with like with like a outline. I think you could make something look super cool and stylistic there. It's because
Overall, though, I think the way they're presenting the Switch 2 is fine.
it's
I
definitely
get why.
it's safe, but that's not always a bad thing. Especially if
Yeah.
you're trying to stave off like a GameCube or Wii U
Like, look at
level
Mario
off.
Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah,
It's literally just a remake with like a few extra bells and whistles, and
it was
it's
the quintessential
the
Mario
best-selling
Kart.
game on Switch.
Best-selling game on Switch by far. Switch or Nintendo consoles tend to have two big sellers that always end up near the top of the system.
I'd say 3.
At least late. You've had Smash Bros. And you have Mario Kart. Mario Kart, big deal on Switch,
Pokemon as
obviously.
well.
Yeah, but like Pokemon was only on home consoles starting with Switch,
Mm.
and like in your top 3, you have on Switch, you have Mario Kart 8. Number 3 is Smash Ultimate. In between is New Horizons, but that was kind of a super or extraordinary circumstance. I feel like Animal Crossing might become
Yeah.
like their next big seller if they keep up the momentum of that
Oh,
last
yeah.
game. And like
Hopefully they make it better.
people love Animal Crossing, especially New Horizons. Like that game
Same.
intrigues me.
I mean I don't like New Horizons, but I love Animal Crossing. New Leaf is still one of my most played games ever.
Yeah, it's a.
But I
I feel it's only a matter
I
of time.
think I think they got the new Mario Kart right off the bat. I think Smash, it's a matter of time.
Smash is only a matter of time. I think Animal Crossing is only a matter of time. We're going to get a Gen 10 on.
Is probably likely.
I think more than ever, Metroid feels like a certainty eventually because we're obviously getting Prime 4 on there, but I feel like they might capitalize again.
I remember there being like a Dread sequel, like soft announced like a few years ago. So
we'll see.
That's also, but I guess with Mercury Steam having the issues they did and the controversies, it's up in the air.
Yeah,
they might pull an Alpha Dream and just have their own team work on it or have someone else work on it, which could be cool.
Could be. I will get on one knee here. I'm gonna audibly get out of my chair and get on my knee and say to Nintendo, if you make a new Star Fox, my life is yours.
Well, I think Kirby's inevitability.
Kirby, yeah, definitely.
Figura Land kind of did wonders for the franchise.
Big deal.
It did a lot. Like, before, you didn't really see Kirby merch just at, like, the store. Now it's just kind of there.
But we all know. Let's get these kids games out of the way. We got to get to the real meat and potatoes, the real reason you're ready for Switch 2.
Life.
Well, that's on Switch 1. Maybe it's on Switch 2, I don't know. But like the big deal, the one thing everyone's asking for. And that's going to be Clubhouse Games 52 Worldwide Classics, baby! Let's go! Yeah!
I can see a Switch 2 port of Switch Sports.
Yeah. It'll be interesting how they use the mouse for that.
Yeah. I think a game I'm like very much so expect. It's third party, but Metal Gear Solid Delta I think is going to be on Switch 2. I have a gut feeling. If the Switch 2 can run like Elden Ring, then like I don't think there's going to be an issue.
I forgot they legit ported Elden Ring to Switch 2. Oh yeah, Cyberpunk also is coming to Switch.
Like if it can run Cyberpunk really well, apparently, I think MGS Delta couldn't be too far behind, and that would make me pretty happy.
Yeah.
Depending on how it runs on Steam Deck.
It's crazy the turnaround that Cyberpunk has done in the past few years, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm glad for
It's
it.
just a good game now.
Yeah. The No Man's Sky route is the best ending for games. And speaking of endings, how should we close this episode out?
I guess we can discuss I guess our hopes and wishes for Mario Kart World.
MK World, that's our featured game of the day.
Yeah, our featured game of the episode.
Mario Kart World launches on Switch.
What are some stages we want to see come back?
Ooh, with this open world thing, I think probably my favorite from an aesthetic one would be like Electrodrome from 8. That one's a great one.
Fair. I think Wario's Mountain from 8 would be really cool.
Oh, speaking of mountains, DK Summit.
Ooh,
from
yeah,
Wii.
that'd be great.
Wii is like the Mario Kart I grew up with.
I'd love to see a track based on like one of the RPGs. It doesn't matter what one.
We gotta get that one, the Hidden Forest or whatever it's called. We get that. I was never book smart. I'm money smart.
I think that would be really cool. I'm expecting some sort of crossover characters. I'm expecting like a Link. Kirby, I was surprised didn't get an 8, so I
think Kirby should. I think if they don't want to duplicate from the previous game, I think Kirby's a lock.
Yeah, and like, Kirby can work. I mean, clearly you're okay with putting a fucking cow in the game as Racer, so like.
I forgot about the cow.
So like, I don't think that's gonna be too hard.
Yeah.
I hope they either change or get rid of the blooper. My god, do I hate that so fucking much.
Do they do the blooper?
I think... I don't remember if they showed it. I hope not. I hate the blooper. It's such a bad item.
It doesn't even work that well.
It doesn't, you're right. It's just not very good. But... let's see what else. What else do I want?
You should replace it with like a flashbang from CSGO. Fire in the hole. Beep!
I did get my most wanted returning track though, so
the airship.
Something like I think Mario Kart 8's Rainbow Road would be cool because I actually like it. I don't know how they're gonna do it with it being in space, but
they did tease Rainbow Road at the end of the thing. But I'm assuming it's an original one.
Yeah, which I'm okay with. I'd rather it be original.
I forget who brought it up. I saw a video recently. I think it would be a funny gag to end off on. But someone was talking about like like the joke about like how everyone's frustrated with Rainbow Road because he would always fall off. It was in a bunch of old memes. Why is the Rainbow Road that everyone uses in those type of memes the one from Mario Kart 64, the one that has rails all over it so you can't fall off?
Yeah.
Why do this?
I think it's weird. Like, what else would I like in the game? I'm hoping they bring back the F-Zero tracks.
Ooh,
or hell, maybe even a new one.
I think with
some of my favorite tracks in 8 Deluxe.
Yeah, I think since there's the one that's like one straight shot instead of like 3 laps. I think that that kind of works with the whole knockout thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
Just make that a lot longer. I think you could have a pretty sick course.
Apparently there are going to be full circuit tracks, so I don't know what they're going to do.
I'm excited. It's a good time to be a fan, and also a good time to be a hater, apparently. But
yeah, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad.
It's a good time to subscribe to the channel for more. I think that'll do it for this episode.
We're probably gonna do more of this. And if this comes out the day the Switch 2 comes out, if y'all got it, enjoy Mario Kart.
Enjoy Mario Kart.
I'm jealous of y'all in the future who are playing it already. I have to wait another 10 or so days.
Enjoy all the other stuff. We are recording this.
Enjoy your Deltarunes.
It is about to turn 1 a.m. It's Memorial Day as we're recording this.
Oh, happy at that point, happy late Memorial Day.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching. We'll probably title this at some point and come up with a funny outro.
We don't know what we're doing. This is new.
It's a test. Watch this becomes like a big deal.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.